What's up guys, Coach Joe here at elitefts, and in this video I just want to take a moment to just share my appreciation and love for John Meadows. He was an absolute legend in the industry, and even though I started meeting him later on in my career, with the last couple of years, he impacted my life in just innumerable amount of ways that I can't take forever to go on this video, but if you guys know who he is, you know how special and important he is. And for me personally, it's interesting being in the fitness industry, right? And you come across people who may seem some way on social media and they're different in person. I've encountered that a lot. But when it came to John specifically, he was everything and more in person than what you would see on social media. He took the time to actually answer my messages on Instagram, which I thought would never happen. And that ended up having us to have a conversation and communicate with each other to then ultimately us training. And I didn't know how it was gonna be when I first met him in person. But short story is I got out of my car, I was pretty nervous, and this guy yelled across the parking lot. He was like, "What's up, big man? Like, so good to see you." And right away, it just kind of lit my soul up, and I just could tell it was gonna be a great experience from then on out. Then he came over, gave me a big hug. We started just talking about training and life and all sorts of good stuff, and we got right after it. So just something really special about him is how genuine and caring of a man he really was. And when we trained, he focused just on you. Like, he wanted to know about you. He wanted to know the history of your training and who you are and what makes you tick. And he would go above and beyond to make you feel special and valued during those sessions. So for me, it was just such a refresher to meet somebody like that. And it was kind of like hanging out, and I know people have said this before, but almost like hanging out with like a family member or like your uncle or your dad. Like, that's kind of just the energy that he had. Always taking you under his wing and trying to show you different ways to do things or think about things to be the best possible version that you could be for yourself. So he just really meant a lot to me as a friend, a mentor, and a training partner, that I've had throughout the years. And some things that people didn't know is we were in the works of actually putting together a program, and unfortunately he had passed, but like that was something that I was really looking forward to and we were working hard on. So I just wanted to share my appreciation for him as a human being and the opportunities that he's given me to be able to train with him, taking the time out of his day to respond to my questions or just give you any input on any topic, So I just hope you guys realize how awesome and impactful he was on the industry as a person and, just what he's done for me. So I just can't, extend my gratitude enough to you, John. Thank you so much. All right, so with that being said, I want to talk about some training techniques that I have learned or just that John emphasized while we were training that I've implemented in my training after hanging out and working with him. So the first one's more of an ideology. And when we went to train, we're gonna do a leg day. This is like one of our first training sessions. And in my mind, I thought, okay, John's a bodybuilder. We're gonna probably get on the hack squat, or we're gonna do some leg curls or leg extensions or something like that for high volume. And he took me over to this smaller room, and he's has a spider bar set up, which first of all isn't a bar that I've seen any sort of bodybuilder use before. So he has a spider bar set up, and there's a box, and he's like, okay, we're gonna do 8 sets of 3 spider bar box squats for some speed work. And I'm kind of scratching my head, like, speed work? Like, you're a bodybuilder, what are you doing some sort of speed work, which is what powerlifters do, and it's typically more like a conjugate style training. So right off the bat, I had asked him that, and his response was, even though I'm a bodybuilder, I still think it's super important to be doing the compound lifts, lifting in a certain intensity, whether it's gonna be a higher intensity or a lower intensity when we're doing some sort of speed work, but moving weight with a lot of force. And he just loved that. And I thought that was such a different way to look at bodybuilding in the way that he had trained. Now, of course, we still did go into those other exercises, like we did pendulum squats, we did Bulgarian split squats and hamstring work and all that kind of stuff. Which is typically what you would think with bodybuilders, but I thought the approach of starting off with some sort of compound lift for that dynamic effort was unique. And that was something that I found that he did with his training and his programming, which is something that I started to mold into mine even when I was doing more hypertrophy work. I still like to do those compound lifts, or I maybe would do 8 sets of 3 box squats or 8 sets of 3 bench press with bands or something like that, just to mix it up. So that was my first one, and I thought that was a really cool principle that I think a lot of people can benefit from and throw into their training, whether they're in strength sports or they're bodybuilders. Okay, so the second session that I had done with John, we took a different approach to it. Like, we were doing more athletic style training. And once again, you know, I think, bodybuilder, why are we doing this athletic stuff? And he just talked about the importance of creating force development with the muscles and being able to move properly with good ranges of motion and just different joint angles. So what we had done is some sort of French contrast training. And I have heard of this before, but I never really had done it in my training. And this is something that John was a big fan of, especially because he liked working with athletes. I don't know if you guys knew that, but he did do a lot of work with athletes, whether it's personal or group, with teams, etc. But this is also something that he incorporated in his training from time to time. So when it comes to the French contrast method, basically what we're doing is we're lifting heavy weight, okay, in that like 80 to 90% rep range for lower intensity, anywhere from 1 to 3 reps. And then we're including plyometrics throughout. So sometimes they're weighted plyometrics, sometimes they're not. But basically, when it comes to how we set it up, we're gonna have that heavy compound, 89% of a 1 rep max, some sort of plyometric jump, which you guys will see in this video. And then we're gonna do some sort of drop set or weighted jump. In this case, we use bands. And then we have a plyometric or accelerated plyometric. So in that case, it was like doing the split lunges that we were doing, which you guys see on the video. So being a strength sport athlete, we sometimes get so stuck in our ways of just wanting to train strength, you know, and power, but we forget about using different training tactics and modalities. So by implementing this French contrast method, maybe it's once a week you do this, and that's in my case what I did. So I trained my 4 days a week, and then once a week I would do something similar to this. Could be for upper, lower, or even a full body day. I really had found that it made me more explosive. It increased my rate of force production with my lifts, and overall just helped with my performance. So when it comes to a specific training modality, I think implementing the French contrast method, which is something I learned from John Meadows, was an absolute game changer for me, and hopefully it'll be for you guys too. All right, so to sum this up, guys, John Meadows was an amazing human being, okay? He did so much for the industry and so much for myself as an athlete, as a coach. It would be a huge disservice to you if you did not go and watch all this content, to read his books, try his programming out, to just get a grasp on who he was as an athlete, coach, person, father, etc. So just want to extend my gratitude once again to you, John. I love you, man. You've meant so much to me, and you've done so much for me, and your legacy will live on throughout myself and everybody else that watches your content. So thank you so much. Also, guys, try out those training principles that we had talked about. If you guys are looking to just be a better athlete, perform better, move better, be strong, increase your rate of force development, those tactics are going to help you. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, guys. Make sure you like their video, subscribe to their channel, and we'll be catching up with you guys in the next video. See ya.